Well, what a fantastic day it is down here in Wellington. We're doing a run up to Auckland. We've got one stop in Grenada, which is a little suburb just out of Wellington City here. We're going to take some of our freight off, just check our weights. Okay, so we've got 25, we've got 15 and a half on the truck. The truck weighs 10, so there's 25 and a half ton on the truck, and we've got 30 and a half ton on the trailer. So what's that? 56. We're coming in at 56 tons at the moment. This is a heavy max vehicle and she's rated to carry 58, so although it sounds like a huge amount, we're still legal, and it is a huge amount. You can really feel the little 560 ponies really working hard to haul this thing along, but we're going to be losing a couple of ton in about half an hour. So we're doing 27 kilometers an hour up the Naronga Gorge. The general rule of thumb, I was told, is 100 horsepower for the vehicle and then 100 horsepower for every 10 ton of load. So if you're carrying 10 tons of rocks, you need a vehicle between 180 and 220 horse, and subsequently all the way up the food chain. So with that in mind, this 560 that's carrying 58 ton, she's about 100 horsepower too light, and that's why we're doing this. Anyway, start of a good trip. We've changed our trailer weight. We're down to 27 ton on the trailer, and so we peeled off 6 pallets, and so it's just balanced it out a bit nicer. It's going to be a cool trip. Yeah, I guess we're in this bit of road. Here's a weird looking bus. There's a Freightliner, that truck, not the bus. It's an old school Freightliner. Oh cool, did you see that? He had his son in there with him. Oh, that's neat. I don't like the look of that weather. Still, it's all good. Third class riding, still better than first class walking, especially in the rain. Well, I've had some sketchy comments about my nickname. My nickname's Red, and I'll tell you how I got it. Many years ago when I was 15 years old, I ran away from home and I got a job with a guy named Gavin Brooks at the Atahua Shearing Cooperative up the Wanganui River, and my job was a rousey. If you don't know what it is, look it up. So there I was, walked into the sheds. There was 11 Maori guys in there, all the shearers and shed hands. There was an Australian guy by the name of Uncle, because that's what he was, Uncle. And then there was Mona and Peki, they were the cooks. And so I rolled in there, and the first thing the Aussie guy does was, "G'day, Bluey." And it's like, we all sort of looked at him, you know, I was a 15-year-old kid. And I sort of looked at him, you know, as a, what's wrong with you, man? And everybody else was like, what? And the Aussie guy goes, yeah, g'day, Bluey. He's called Bluey because he's got red hair. And then we sort of had a bit of a hooey, and it was like, if he's got red hair, why the fuck isn't his name Red? And because he's, and then the Aussies got, because he's got red hair, we call him Bluey. And so it was immediately decided that the Australian can say whatever the fuck he wants, but the Maori boys were going to call me Red, and that was it. And so everybody called me Red, and the Aussie called me Blue. But it became my working name, and it stuck. And it's for years and years and years, my nickname was Red. That's what it's about. Some of the more politically misguided think it's got something to do with my political leanings, as in left-wing red sort of stuff. Well, yeah, I used to be a good Labour boy when I was a working class lad growing up, but you know, I got shafted by every government agency that I'd subsidised by paying additional extra taxes. You know, all socialism is it's a scam to get you to pay as much tax as possible to sustain this big, heavy, lumbering bureaucracy that's so corrupt that nothing ever happens. For example, I was a carpenter, I was in the Army Reserves, I smashed up my shoulder playing footy for my regiment, so I needed surgery. So the first thing I did was, because I couldn't work, I got a letter from my doctor saying, look, this guy's injured, a one-armed carpenter's not much use to anybody, he needs surgery. Took that to the welfare department. They wouldn't help me because I had too many non-cash assets. and they worked it all out and they gave me a big stand down period. So I had to deplete all my resources before I would be able to get any wage assistance from the government, and fair enough, I guess. And then it was march along to the hospital. Well, because it's a state-funded hospital, you get the surgery when they say you do, not when you need it. So they decided that it was non-urgent surgery, so I could go on a hospital waiting list. It took 5 years for me to get my surgery. In that time, I was living in constant pain. My arm was progressively getting worse. It healed all crooked, which compounded the injury. And I became subsequently broke. And then I go along to our workers' compensation fund to say, hey, look, you know, I've received this injury and this is what's happening, can you help me? And they went, no, because there's evidence of a pre-existing injury. Well, you know, after 20 years hard labour and a lifetime of falling off motorcycles and playing rugby and military life, you know, a guy's going to have a number of pre-existing injuries, but that doesn't stop him from working. I mean, right now I've got a cracked knuckle and I've got a broken toe, and I think I've broken a bone in my wrist. But that doesn't stop me driving a truck, does it? But if I were to bust my arm, ACC would go, no, you got evidence of pre-existing injury, so we're not going to help you. So you pay all this additional extra tax, believing that the state's going to be there for you when you need it, only to find that what they're really about is finding ways of not helping you. They're not there to find ways to help you. They're there to find ways to save the government money, which means they're there to not help you. Their primary objective is to find a way out of offering you any assistance that you've actually paid for over years and years and years of extra tax. So there is no way in the world that any responsible person would validate such a corrupt system. All it is it's a scam to get the working class people to pay additional tax in return for peace of mind and the illusion of comfort, only to renege on the deal at the last minute. You are far better off trusting individuals that are willing to put their name on the line to help you. So I would far rather have health insurance and income protection insurance and trust private enterprise than ever to have to trust government again. And how many cases in history, how many times in history has faith in government defied both history and reason? And this is the situation that I'm in. So there is no way in the world that I could ever be considered a left-wing guy anymore. I am pure right-wing Christian Zionist to the core. Okay, well, we're just going to park her up there. We're on our half-hour break now. So we're in a little town called Bulls. It's a couple of 100 kilometres, or about 100 miles north of Wellington. We're well on the way to Auckland, but we're about a fifth of the way there, I guess. Hey, Ellie. Yeah, kebab for dinner, I think. I wonder if that's how they really do it, or is that just a Kiwi thing? Yeah, like I'm gonna eat that in my truck. Yeah, I don't think so. There's this trucky chick I'm sweet on, you know, because she's like really, really beautiful. Okay, nice. Funny. Pretty and beautiful. Anyway, do you think this would pass as a hot meal date for a truckie? I'd like to invite you out for dinner. Kebabs sound okay? Nah, don't think so. Might have to try a little better than this. Might have to wear a t-shirt. Dave Martinger. Oh well, shout out to Dave Martinger. I really like doing them for you, bro. I might see you on the road someday. Yeah, that was a cool one. Look at that. One person actually liked my comment. Hey, mainframe. Hey, you. Today we're going to be doing a Swedish special. You gotta love the subtitles. They're so far away from them. This is a Scania R series. It's 500 horsepower. It's just Who puts the subtitles on? Man, they're like miles away. Don't they understand Kiwi? There's this old fella who drives for Lindsay Taylor. He's probably pretty much an old Kamatua, really, old married fella. Anyway, pulled into a yard. They got a really flash Scania like this one, but a real flash one. And he climbed out of his cab and took off his slippers and put on his boots. And I was like, what? What the f? But you know what? I like driving a bare feet, eh? It's nice. I get what that old guy was on now. I mean, reminds me of the saying Mark Twain said, when I was 17, I thought my father was a fool. When I was 21, I was surprised how much he learnt in 4 years. Time I nearly hit the ground, you are my cushion. See the most beautiful parts of nature when you're trucking. I think that's probably one of the reasons why I like it so much. Is it's just lovely, man. It's a great job. Great job. Everyone should be a trucker for at least 1 year of their life. That bastard is right up on me. That's the price of being a heavy haul unit. Your racing days are over. There it goes. KBH chick. All good, mate. Safe trip, This guy's brake checked me twice. He speeds up and then he slows right down in front of me. He's doing it now. We're buttoning off. We're down to 80. This guy's EAM317. I think he might be drunk or something. There he goes, he's speeding up again. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but if you can, it says 0005. That's the time. It's 5 minutes past midnight, and it's you know, I'm pretty lightly dressed. Who's this guy? What's he up to? Woohoo! Yeah, that's it. And look at this. Yeah, it's pretty harsh down here in the South Pacific, you know. Just about a full moon. Man, you just gotta love these autos. How easy is that? Well, we're now dropping off the Bombays onto the southern motorway of Auckland. We're about 30 minutes out. Okay, well, we're just leaving the depot up here in Auckland, and now we're walking back to our motel. I have the option to drive if I get a ride if I want, but I prefer to walk because it's about a mile away, and you know, I finished work. When did I finish work this morning? About 2:30. No, it must have been about 3:30. And then I started again at 1:30 because I had to have a 10-hour break. And I've been trucking from 1:30 till now. And it's now 10 to 3. So I've been doing a lot of trucking in the last 24 hours. And pretty good to get some exercise, you know what I mean? Move the body, get the blood pumping around, and you know, keep it a bit real. trackies out there. Living the most bizarrest gypsy life. At 3 o'clock in the morning I'm walking through some big city. Life is good.